Welcome to the Right Place podcast, where we learn with you how to make connections that matter, relationships that last, and businesses that thrive. My name is John Watson, and today I'm joined by my friend Jason Luboyera. Jason is head of growth at FTC Agency, which is a hybrid company of people all over the world. And they specialize in strategy, development, digital design, LinkedIn social selling, which I think is what they are most well known for. And they also have a community, which I belong to, called the FTC community, which we'll talk about shortly. Jason, welcome to the Right Place. Thank you so much for your time. Great to chat to you today.
Thanks so much, John. I'm looking forward to the conversation, and I hope I can add some value to your community.
Cool. Thanks so much, Jason. So Jason and I met via LinkedIn, but we also hung out in person as well, which is really cool. I enjoy Jason's positive outlook on life, his energy and his content on LinkedIn, which is always fresh and full of practical ideas. So Jason, you attended Hilton College and you were involved in the choir, the debating team, health and fitness as well. Did you always like to do a variety of things? Were you a busy child?
Yeah, definitely. I was a very, very busy child. The principal once said, if Jason actually kept his eye on the ball in class, he'd be a rocket star. So I had my eye on everything else. I was like sports, extramural activities, and that really translated to being super fortunate to go to Hilton. And Hilton, you had literally everything at your fingertips. And I jumped on quite a few things, and then, no regrets at all.
Excellent. And you also started playing rugby that side?
Yeah, I played a very good rugby. I was playing first team squad. Hilton, as you know, is a bit of like an intense environment. So you almost were even pushed into playing rugby with everybody after school, after class. And the facilities also just allowed you to thrive as a young boy and play good rugby. Best 5 years of my life.
My son plays rugby. It's all I kind of talk about with my friends is rugby and school rugby and what's happened with the Springboks and Rassie and CA and all that type of stuff. So I'm a big rugby fan as well. But you didn't just give up rugby at school. You continue to play after school and you still play club rugby, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So definitely did continue playing rugby, but after school I actually took a gap year. I traveled with a bunch of mates for about 9 months. And then I went to actually university in Spain. But I just kept rugby and sports as a good way to keep healthy, good way to actually engage with other guys besides being on social media. So I didn't take up rugby in terms of professionally or in terms of anything too competitive. But I still play to this day, club rugby. You call it like social rugby. Guys actually come to finish you. Like they honestly play like it's like schoolboy rugby, but it's all just for the chies and it's all just for the fun of the game and really community. It's quite amazing to see the guys who show up every week. They show up on the Saturday during the week when it's raining. It does a lot for me and mentally. It does a lot for my performance at work and just performance in life. Like it's a very interesting community that some people don't get. Like why would you continue playing rugby after school? But it's not about the rugby. It's about coming together, staying fit, challenging yourself, playing in a team. So yeah, that's for my sins. Yeah, I still do play.
Excellent. And I mean that's an amazing group of people to belong to and to be accepted by. And so you got the social rugby side. Has any of that translated into obviously making good connections in the business world or bringing in any business to FTC or any of the other companies that you previously worked for?
Yeah, so when I was playing in Greenpoint, I wouldn't say it translated directly for business, but it's translated for my confidence around how I approach like people in business and the team. Because after rugby, after the games, you guys actually do have beers and we talk about everything. It's almost like a counseling session. So guys, you talk about like maybe like the few tries, but then you talk, hey, God, Jay, what's happening with business? And so I wouldn't say it translated from business growth ideas, but it helped me personally with my business operations and how I manage my team.
I mean, you need that space and that freedom just to vent a little bit and just to clear your head. And if you've got some wise guys on the rugby team that can kind of bring you, calm you down a bit, give you some perspective, and I think then you can make a good decision on Monday morning.
100%, and it's not gospel, because I think I think with the sports and fitness, I I look at it holistically, because you can play about 60 to 90 minutes with these guys, but then afterwards you actually are releasing a hell of a lot of endorphins.
Mm,
And those endorphins are also from a mindset of clarity. So when you jump back to an idea or jump back to a problem in a group that you trust, you actually
mm,
share quite clearly, and you also
mm,
are hearing yourself share, and you're like, wow, okay, it's not Kilimanjaro, it's just a little molehill that I'm
mm.
actually going into. 'Cause sometimes we overthink things and treat things a lot more difficult or than they really are. So that's what I really appreciate. And like you said, you get a lot of clarity and support from people that you actually don't know, but that you do trust them.
No, excellent. You mentioned you went to study abroad. I think it was at the Toulouse Business School. What
Yeah.
prompted that, and what special memories do you have of that time abroad?
Yeah. So it was Toulouse Business School in Barcelona, right?
Mm,
Essex. So what sparked that? So I was actually on a gap year with a bunch of mates. We were traveling a little bit around Europe, and we ended up in Girona, which is a small little place close to Barcelona. So I was working as those, have you ever been to like Club Med?
yes.
Those, yeah, so those entertainers, the poolside entertainers. Yeah,
Mm,
who knows? So yeah, so to earn a little bit of money while on gap year, because yeah, my parents were like, they didn't understand what a gap year was. So yeah, we were earning quite pretty decent money to stay at the
mm,
hotel, help around, be
mm,
at the bar, but then what's poolside entertainers. And then I didn't know anything about Barcelona, even though I knew the football team, but I didn't know about the city.
mm,
So we took a bus, five of us, into Barcelona. Wow, it's like, I would say Barcelona is Cape Town's older stepsister. Yeah, like
yeah.
it's proper. Well, then I just actually fell in love with the city, and I just was like, I need to make a way on how I can live in the city, or at least experience it. So did a lot of research and found out around these business schools. There's a lot of these business schools. Worked my
Mm,
ass off to get in. Actually got a scholarship, and I spent 4 years at Toulouse Business School. Best experience, like probably the best experience that I had at Toulouse Business School. Oh, actually, so it's coming to mind now. They had this subject called, I think it was gain something. Basically, you had to build a business, right? Like,
mm,
and it was like over the semester. And I actually still have that presentation. I had the idea of coupling sales and marketing as a consultancy, because at
mm,
that stage I was around like 2014, 15. There was this amalgamation of sales and marketing coming closer together. They weren't in these silos. So, and I was like, wow, why don't you build an agency that does both? Because sales was sales, marketing was, and that's, I think, what really sparked almost like 4 or 5 years later, because my agency, because I always believed in marketing and sales needing to come together to enable a business owner to live out their true value.
yes.
Um, so I think one of the, now I would say, is that moment when I had that, going through that subject. It also helped me win the second year of scholarship. It's that subject of building out that business, winning that award again, and it was in the second
Mm,
year. And now I'm
mm,
looking at it, I'm like, I've always been in this sales, marketing, bringing that value together for business owners. Yeah, I'd
yes.
say that's one of the best moments actually now.
That's a very specific and special memory, and something that
Mm.
I think at the time maybe you didn't understand the impact of it. But many years later, kind of that was maybe the crux that gave you the momentum to like carry on in the direction that you've carried on. And was it during that time as well that you joined Toastmasters and were doing the whole Toastmasters thing?
Yeah, so I actually got pushed through to Toastmasters by my dad. They lived in Germany at that time,
Mm,
and he's a scientist meteorologist. So we're actually very opposite. So I think for him, I wouldn't say I needed Toastmasters, because I went to these, at Hilton business schools. We always had to stand up and build your confidence. Even without being in the classroom. Then I took up Toastmasters, and I think, again, I'm being honest, I was already decent at public speaking.
mm,
So it was a great almost validation because I joined Toastmasters. The first day I sort of won like one of the awards, and then I just took it up because it's such a good community, you know.
Mm.
Then I took up Toastmasters during that time, and very good community, right? I got a lot of value from Toastmasters. I got actually business from Toastmasters.
Okay, excellent. So you said your dad is a scientist and you pretty much polar opposites. Did he have any career advice for you growing up, knowing that, look, he's obviously not going to go and be a scientist or the next David Attenborough or anything like that? What was his like career advice?
Yeah, so he was a very hard worker, my word. Like typical, he probably read the 5 a.m. club before the 5 a.m. club was even like a thing, you know? Like that group of people that were doing 5 a.m. club without it being like
Mm.
yeah. So he was him, and like that's what he used to do. So I think I wouldn't say he never forced us to work hard, but one
Mm.
thing he did do, because I think he was fortunate enough, he's Ugandan, studied in the UK. He always made sure, which there was a bit of a grapple between me and him, but he always said, Jason, my hard work got me scholarships to the UK. My hard work got me to, be a team lead at in the UN because he was working at the UNFCCC. And that's what that was his career. It's like, let your work speak for you because people will, like, the world will pay you back, right?
Mm.
Like, don't focus on, like, doing things that don't serve you. But if you
Mm.
are ready to serve, the world will serve you. So, like, he was a servant leader, like that's that type of thing. And I think at the time when I was younger, I always used to like envy the idea because yeah, he breezed through life. Like, oh wow, I was like, Jason, you don't work hard enough. Why aren't you getting scholarships? Jason, I was just like, it used to be like such a pet peeve for me because he made
Mm.
life look so easy. But actually, when I peel it back, it wasn't easy. He woke up early. He did the things. He was there. He was showing
Mm.
up. He was adding value. He was, did a number of extramural things. And it's true. It's like they say, like those. He was one of those ducks that make things look easy when they were hard.
Yes,
I, I,
yes.
oh yeah, always people. I like people like that. Like they finesse. They call it finesse. Like the people who are running Ironmans, but they're smiling. Yeah, that's him. You can see it's tough, but he's just like just continues going. So yeah, I think that was I could see an overall arching advice he used to always give me. It's like, Jason, like I worked super hard, and it's not about the
Mm.
hard work. If you're adding value,
Mm.
the world will give you your flowers. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that advice. I think the adding value part and the servant leadership part is something that's so important and can sometimes be quite scarce in today's world that we live in, where everyone's kind of want everything for themselves, grabbing attention. Look at me, buy my stuff. Look at me. So if you have that as your foundation, adding value, servant leadership, I think it can take you further than just banging on the door and buy my stuff and I'm in your face the whole time.
Um,
Mm.
I went into marketing and stuff, and I even tried to advise him to get a LinkedIn profile. And he was like, "Do you want to know how good I am? I don't even need a LinkedIn profile, but they're calling me up because they know I do good work." But it was so funny because he's never been like that because he retired early, and I was like, wow. And he's like, but it's like one of those things. He's like, allow your work and your service and your value to others to speak for you, and you will
Mm.
get like contracts and stuff like that. But he's a pure employee, like not a businessman. Yeah.
Thanks for being so open about your dad and his journey as well. Now, Jason, fast forward a couple of years, then you end up at Outsourced CFO, which is a
Mm.
company that I know from my days of being a CA. And Louw Barnardt, the MD and the co-founder there, was a top 35, under 35 CA. I'm also good friends with Grant Greef, who's another CA that we know. How was that working with a bunch of CAs back in the day?
I would say that also accelerated my career growth in many aspects. Like
Mm.
if there were like three aspects, all three were those buckets were constantly being filled through working with Low and the team. But like the story is it's an interesting one because I had a financial background, but it's purely business finance, right? There's a very
Mm.
difference in like accounting finance and business finance. And I came from that background and it was a bachelor, so I was very attracted around the idea of this agency world, right? Because
Mm.
I built, like when I was in the business school enabled you to already think like that. Like, hey, businesses is about doing things with people, but adding value. So you can sell someone's time, you could sell product. And I already learned about that. And then when I saw Outsourced CFO, I was like, interesting. They're selling this cream of the crop people's time to enable economy. Found that
Mm.
fascinating because that's all it is. It's you're selling
Mm.
specialist time to
Yes.
increase the economics around the world. And I was like, interesting. I'd never seen this before, but in hindsight, that's what Deloitte do. But we saw Deloitte as more of like this media big corporate, like that are maybe it's a machine. You never knew like what's actually happening behind the scenes. But that's what Lonely's team were doing. And I was so fascinated, joined them. But the experience was great. Like,
Mm.
and I'm going off topic because there's so many aspects of what I could talk about. But I think overall, probably the best thing for me, because the CIs are quite like boxed for a good reason, right? But
Mm.
the boxedness isn't subject to their personality. It's subject to what they learned to be creative, right? Because
Mm.
like if you have four walls, but you have constraints on you need a bigger house, AIs will find out a way on how to do it. Within the four walls. Versus like if you don't have those parameters and that skill set, sometimes you just don't even get anything, but it looks like it. So that's what I found.
Mm.
Like these systems, Excel, the way of like approaching everything was systematic.
Mm.
But I think my push around maybe I don't like to lean on the word creative. I think it's more, I think, ingenuitive, right? Just
Mm.
around the same way of thinking.
Yeah.
Push the boundaries, really push low to be, I would say, a really interesting selling CA. You'd never seen that type of CA. I think there was Marnus from, what was he? Bean Counter.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. There was this new age type of CA, and yeah, me and Lo really tangled well because I think he just lent into my style of like how you go to meetings, or showing up on social,
Mm.
where CA's the brand of a CA wasn't really that. I
Yes.
think that's really what helped him. I think scale, and I think that also that one of those buckets that he helped me is like, yeah, just put in the time and like constantly evolve. Don't
Mm.
like be stuck in a box if you want to build a business. And that's where also he showed me I want to be someone who builds a business. Okay, you need to evolve outside of what you think you are and be of service to other people. Yeah, Low is of service. Like
Mm.
he really went out there, closed some interesting clients. He was building different products for like Investec. He was not just your typical CA.
Mm.
And he's also got this big, hairy, audacious goal of helping, like, I think it was like 10,000 entrepreneurs, right?
Mm.
And that's, again, service leadership. And I was drawn to that a lot. And
Mm.
also, I think I was drawn to his close-knit team. Like, it was him,
Mm.
Donna, and Jacques. Yes, it was, if you want to call it your cronies from like high school and uni, but that's what worked for them. And look at them
Mm.
now. It's
Mm.
what they're doing is not revolutionary, but how they're doing it, the execution, and who's you're
Mm.
doing with is like the X factor,
Yeah.
which you won't see.
No, excellent, Jason. It's wonderful to hear your journey there, and I'm wondering if your time at Outsourced CFO was the final piece of the puzzle to motivate you to branch out on your own and start 360 DigiSales. Was that something that fell in place? Like, okay, I now know enough. Now I can go and do this by myself. I can jump into sales and marketing and branch out on my own.
Yeah. So typical story, like that's why I get asked this question, but I always over time have reflected enough that I was the problem. Right? Typical millennial. We were like 10 people when I joined, or 8 or 10 people. We were in the bandwidth barn. We scaled to 25, 30, right? And as a young person, 22, 23, over a 3.5 year journey, I
Mm.
felt like I was part of that growth. Like I saw everything. We went from being in Woodstock to being in town, Low winning awards. It was this crazy journey. But why I say I was the problem, because I felt I was a product of my own success, because I was thrown into the deep end. I was doing newsletters. I was setting up HubSpot, all this stuff, which made me feel, and I was producing results, but that also made me like increase my value in my mind, So I just became confident, and I was a problem to myself because I was then also very demanding. But the problem, why I'm saying it's a problem, was a good problem because it pushed me to be like, cool, I'm never going to be a director anytime soon. I'm 23, but I go on every meeting with Louw. I'm sitting in front of the same guys that are head of Investec now. Like I was in the room with these guys, and but there was I was experiencing this ceiling, right? The ceiling, and unfortunately, CA is also very systematic around like growth around that. So I did feel this, like in year 3, I was feeling this like friction, right? I think I ended up as head of business development at 23. But what does that mean? That's just a title, If you asked me, head of business development, then you check what was happening at the end of every month on the 26th, you would have been like, okay, like yeah, you're not really head of business development, if you know what I mean. But I think that's when I started realizing, because I was producing a lot of work quickly. I was also having a lot of time on my hands. Then I had this idea that came, oh, wow, wait, finance is how you can sort of optimize a business, but not really create growth unless you inject capital. But that growth doesn't actually happen unless there's execution on that capital, or if you call it that energy. It's not that easy to like actually see a business grow just by injecting capital. And then the vice versa. Accounting doesn't help it grow, but optimize its growth via efficiencies. The next thing, you have to sell. You have to sell in markets, right? So I was like, why not develop an agency of the same model, selling specialist time from Outsourced CFO? Typical millennial, made a PowerPoint presentation, got all the directors in, because we had this relationship. Because I was like, I could call them in and be like, hey guys, yeah, on Friday I've got this good idea. I want to share. Like, of course, they were like, oh, of course, we've been with Jason for 3 years. Why not? So I get them into the room and I present this idea. Let's spin off a company. In hindsight, I think it was a great idea, right? But imagine now you're pulling your directors in to like talk about a glorified resignation, basically. If you get what I mean, like it's like this employee is telling you that they want to spin off a company from your company. But that's why I reflected it on it now. But yeah, Outsourced CFO they were the company that pushed me to start my business. I presented the idea. It landed okay on ears that were entrepreneurs, but not on ears that were keen on supporting that. And yeah, basically, Louw was like, Jay, what would you really want here? What are you trying to look for? And then I was like, oh, I'm actually looking to start a business. And he was like, yeah, that's not really the angle for us as a business right now. How do we keep you? Because we really enjoy you. And I was like, oh, maybe. And I was cheeky. I was like, oh, maybe like increase my salary. And, he did. He increased my salary. But that also wasn't actually what he should have done. He could have actually said, yo, dude, leave, start a business. How can I support you? Louw, we speak, we're open. But he knew his value and like increased my salary. I used the money to build the website. 6 months later, I left Outsourced CFO and started 360 DigiSales.
No, that's actually such a fascinating story about almost branching out before you even left the company. So you're using the resources. I mean, I'm not saying using their money or anything, but you're in this incubator of high energy, high knowledge, lots of wisdom around you, and you've seen the potential. And maybe the CAs weren't on the same page, or Louw wasn't on the same page, but you've taken advantage of this opportunity and you're running with this idea. I think it's almost like this common theme that I see with you, that you're just building on top of what you've already built. And in spite of being 23 or however old you were, you can make a success out of it because you've got that drive. And this will be a success. I've got a good network going. I know good people. I've got knowledge. It would be dumb not to try it because you'll never know if you never try.
Yeah, no, it's a good reflection on that. It makes sense. I think there's a combination. There's a whole combination on there. Like you're saying, energy. I have to be, like I said, I would have met some of the people I met if I didn't join Outsourced CFO. also for them, they also gave me a bit of a platform to try things. I tried
Mm.
LinkedIn, I tried MailChimp, I tried HubSpot, and all these things were the arsenals that made me build 360 DigiSales.
Mm.
So yeah, you're right on that, definitely.
No, excellent. And now you branch out on your own, you start 360 Digi Sales. Was it a humbling moment when now I'm on my own, I have to make these things happen, or people are going to think I'm an idiot for leaving Outsourced CFO? What was that process like? Was there a bit of a wake-up call for you? Welcome to the real world?
Yeah, so the wake up call, I think there was actually just a lot of support outside externally. So I landed my first client while at Outsourced CFO, right?
Mm.
Because what's beautiful is that there was this perception that me and Low, I was like this like 2IC to like Low, you know? Because I was everywhere. I used to just like take photos with him. I was so they were like, who's this like sort of like guy who's like everywhere also with Low? So I got a hell of a lot of attention too. So when I
Mm.
left, people also didn't believe it. They were like, really, why would you leave such a place? So the curiosity of me leaving allowed me to have meetings with people. So all these people just actually wanted to know, oh, you're starting a business. So that side, in terms of like, if you want to call it lead gen or networking, was quite
Mm.
easy.
Mm.
But the realization was the conversion, right? So
Yes.
I was having coffees. I was like talking about the product. But these people actually, when I think, they were like asking, dude, can you help me? But no, I wasn't selling at all. I was just talking almost over them and like, this is my idea. Da, da. And I had a hell of a lot of coffees, but I never converted them. And the
Mm.
realization came when like, okay, month two and you've got one client and you've charged 4,000 Rand and you're doing a lot of work. And then month three came in and then it was just like, oh dude, this is real. Like the 26th of the month, you're paying yourself. There's no pay. So I think that was one of the biggest realizations. And also then another one was the current client I had, I think it was in like month three that they started to realize, okay, wait, you're using me as a guinea pig, like a lot of the things you haven't developed.
Mm.
But what was beautiful is that they told me that they were like, okay, Jason, like, you sort of said you're offering this, but it's not coming. And that also was a big slap in the face because it's like, oh, wow, you need to be doing product development. You need to be service delivery. You need to be doing sales. And then I actually saw like, this is business. You were just doing sales and marketing at Outsourced CFO, right? And that was also another big slap in the face. And I was just like, okay, doesn't mean just executing on the client for extra hours, thinking that you want to do the best work. It's like actually
Mm.
you need maybe 4 hours of that time because you also need to be selling. You also need to
Mm.
be doing all these other things. So you need to become a lot more efficient and like develop and get clients. Think about what you did in the first 2 to 3 months when you started your business. You didn't go on LinkedIn. You were actually thinking and executing because you were under pressure. So
Yeah.
like that's one of the strategies when you sort of feel like I'm stagnating. I don't know. I can't find leads. I was going to, what is it? Startup grind. Yeah, I was at every event. I
Mm.
wasn't trying to like talk about my business, but not in a way that I was selling. But I was like, oh, there's this new idea, da, 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 and people resonate with that authenticity.
It's good to have that mature outlook on how things were going, and not just expect things to fall out of the sky. Given you had attention, you had a profile, people knew who you were, but you still had to show, look, I can actually offer value. This is why I branched out on my own. This is our service, this is our product, and you can trust me because I, I'm attending these events. I'm out in the open. I'm active on LinkedIn, and I think that resonates well with people. And I think it's been a common theme as well. And what I've learned a lot from you and Renier is people buy from people. And you need
Mm.
to constantly be showing people who you are. This is who I am. This is the value I add. This is the skills. This is how I'm developing myself. And then people say, look, I'm just going to stick with Jason because he knows what he's doing and he's bringing me results. And I think maybe that's why you and Renier ended up hooking up. I remember seeing posts before you joined FTC, you and Renier checking in with each other, having a coffee. And I was like, oh, these guys are competitors, but they seem to be quite friendly. Tell us about the origin of that relationship and then how it morphed into you joining FTC a few years later.
Yeah, so I think that really, I would say, is credit to Renier. Well, yes, I was building my personal brand and we were competitors, but Renier never saw me as a competitor, right? So I left Outsourced CFO. He might have been seeing me at Outsourced CFO, but I never saw him, like on LinkedIn. And then he saw me start this agency and he actually reached out and very easy. He was like, hey, I can see you also in this LinkedIn game. It's super tough. What I do is connect with individuals like you in South Africa because I just want to add value. I want to show you and he says, I want to show you how I got my first 10 clients so that you don't make the same mistake. And I was like, interested. We got on a call. He told me, yeah, don't do this. He was like, yeah, make sure that you charge upfront, all these different things. For free, no strings attached. And he was like, yeah, how much are you charging? If I have one or two clients that are too small for me, can I give them to you? I was like, yeah, why not?
Yes, please.
yeah, 100%. Yes, please. And then, we just kept tabs. So then because I loved that side of him, I was also just like, cool, let's do coffees. Let's share other business ideas. And nothing really came of it in terms of business. But in hindsight, we were sharing business knowledge. We were giving each other that almost similar to that rugby platform, that place to just chat about something very relatable. We're both in the LinkedIn development, LinkedIn growth, marketing space. So we would just laugh about stuff. Have you seen lately Justin Walsh? So coffees were just like from the get-go. We always had something to say, right? And that also, if I think deep, those were like actually moments where we were developing this, like, oh, you could be a cool business partner. Oh, you could be someone nice to work with. And that, just kept on having coffees. Over the coffees I was sharing with Renier, he also told me his stories. And I was like, wow, okay, you make it look easy. Like you make it look like you've been doing this for years. And I think through the reality of me going through a tricky time with my business, not wanting to be in the business, we just had some great conversation. And the man was just like, dude, you're coming back here, you're still running the business, you've got clients, but you're not happy, dude. Like, what do you want? I was like, tell me what you want. Like, let's get into business. And the rest is history.
I really enjoy Renier as well. I've got a lot of respect for him, how he handles his business, how he handles himself. He's very approachable, very likable. And I think that is exactly the type of people that you need running businesses like FTC. And bringing you on board is just, again, a natural progression where great minds think alike. You're on the same page, you've got the same vibe, you've got the same giving nature and giving value and sharing. And I think I've seen the FTC community really embrace that. And the webinars that you've had and the Q&As and the special guests, it's been really fascinating to have access to people like this, and also to learn how you go about doing business and how you implement some of the strategies on LinkedIn and how to integrate marketing and selling and all of that. So it's wonderful to be connected with you and Renier and to learn a lot from you both.
I have to give credit to Grant Krief. Actually, he was actually my business coach. He was my business coach, and he also helped me through this journey. And why I want to give credit to him is because that experience, you can't go through that thing alone. Like what I'm now even talking to you, the right people in your space allow you to also just live out. And he actually gave me the idea of, he could already see me talking to Renier. He was like, open up to Renier about your situation and see what happens. And like I said, I opened up, and truthfully, Renier was like, hey, dude, I've tried this business development thing. I don't know what you want to be. He said, what title do you think you need? What are you going to do? Write me an email in 2 days. And if I accept, I'll accept. Literally, that was the interview. It was so interesting. And I was like, what? He's like, write a job title. Tell me what you're going to do for my company. Tell me how much should I need to pay you. And if I accept, if I don't, at least well done for trying. And I was like, what? Yeah. He's like, I need it by Friday. So, over the time chatting to Renier and also him sharing, like, this is what I'm struggling with. This is how I want to grow the business. It gave me quite an easy platform because we'd been chatting for a bit of time on how I could add value to his company. And I was like, I want even it wasn't even about the title, but I love the idea of me being quite involved in a number of things, even though I'm happy to put up my hand saying I'm focused on generating business, like generating revenue. And it's a very interesting person. I think you can also know a lot of people don't want to be accountable for revenue. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not in sales. Like, but the truth is everybody it should be in sales. Because if you understand
Absolutely.
what business is, if you attach you're stepping into the office
Mm.
and you greeting your staff, the clients correctly generates revenue. Your mindset's different. Like your mindset around how you spend your time and your value for this engine or for this community is different. I am very much focused on business development. Like, so Renier is the business development engine. So I'm building it out. So putting Pipedrive, all the systems. We've got a bit of a team, Daniel now, Monique, try to grow this like actual repeatable system that was really in Renier's head, right? So that's one of the biggest things and it's really exciting. Like, I'm getting a lot of learning from him and we're downloading that. We've got like playbooks and everything because we can now actually put more energy, more time into the system, whether that's people, new tech, so that Renier can even do bigger things or different things, right? And it's actually starting to come to fruition now with, like, I think we spoke earlier about a few other people that he's working with. So that's one of the biggest things I'm building. And then there's the community, right? So the community was there was an idea and there was still actually started it. And I think it's such a blessing, the timing where I
Mm.
was like, I've got this idea. And I was like, okay, the reality about community is it takes the most energy, but when you get it right, it's actually the most fulfilling, both from a revenue, commitment, value. It's such
Mm.
an interesting one. So I think my timing and my like sort of energy in terms of it, then they also kicked off the community. It's cool to be the best, but I think we're going to be a very effective company that
Mm.
is very effective both in terms of what we do and like how we offer remuneration and community and to our platform. But what's really different is, and I've actually started it, is we're going to be partnering with certain companies and certain other people in the world to offer this service growth experience. Because there's one thing that we do really well,
Mm.
LinkedIn. But now we found out that we're helping B2B service providers, right? So we're niching, we're really getting to who we don't work with and who we do work with. So we B2B service companies. And this is where we're going to now say our flagship product, which is LinkedIn. But because we start to be like broaden, because like I built a pipe drive of messaging. So we're really going to like almost build out this service enablement agency.
Mm.
And that's where I think the future is. It's like we're going to be known for our our one flagship offering, but because we're continuously learning, continuously wanting to be more involved in the entrepreneur's journey, we're like, hey, how can we? And maybe it's not even us. How can we plug in the John to
Mm.
support you? How can we plug in all these other people to become this service enablement agency? And that's where I sort of see FTC going. And another thing I do think is we're going to help universities. So I've always had this dream where the proposal is actually out, where universities like that I got to, we 60% of our staff were business owners, and then the other 40% were lecturers. So I
Mm.
want to be able to add value that FTC partner with like one or two universities to be like, hey, we are your infield lecturers that will come and support your students. Because I wish like someone like you or like Renier came to university and was like, start a LinkedIn profile today
Yeah.
and you'll see. I think I would have been a different beast. If someone told me at school to start a LinkedIn profile, oh my God, like, and take it serious and with the right tools, like content, Riverside, I would, come on. Like, I think there would be different beasts coming out of university, honestly. And of course, at university, you have distractions and everything, but there's that spark where like you're looking at someone and they just tell you, like, it's just about
Mm.
going on LinkedIn, spending a bit of time like this. I think a lot of people need that at university. So that's another thing. Like, with the community, there's this like educational, specific energy that we're going to push to university that I'm at. I want the FTC to flagship that. Yeah.
No, that's an amazing project, and that's right up my alley. I mean, the advice that I give to young people is you've got to climb on LinkedIn. It's one thing to be on Instagram and TikTok and all that type of stuff, but LinkedIn is that one platform that has got a lot of respect, still got a lot of good things happening on it, and you can really build up and connect with people now while you're young. That will pay off in 5 or 10 years' time. The biggest regret that you will have is that you didn't take it seriously. And you don't necessarily have to take it seriously and only write serious stuff. And what I tell students is just write about what you're going through this week, or you've got a study week, or you're working on a project, or you connected with this person. Just write about that stuff. And that stuff, those are stories that you're in any case telling your friends. Literally just write it down, maybe take a selfie, or you don't even have to post a photo, but get going in that, because that is how you become a storyteller. That is how you put yourself out there. And you're building your personal brand. Your personal brand is not something you do after watching a 2-hour YouTube video or attending a webinar. It's something that's built up over time. And when you get to that stage where you start, okay, I have to get a first job, or I need to start a business, people are going to start checking you out on LinkedIn. And if you've got this track record of giving value and all that, people are going to, we have to get this person. It's just a no-brainer. Like you don't have to submit your CV or have an interview. People can immediately see this is someone I want to do business with. And that is such a cool angle about FTC getting involved with universities. I'm 100% on board. And now, before we wrap up today, Jason, we always ask our people that we talk to, are they in their right place? And it sounds like such an easy question to answer, but it can honestly take you back to when you were born, or when you were in primary school and you had all these dreams, you wanted to be a fireman or astronaut or whatever the case may be. But I mean, life has its ups and downs and twists and turns and things like that. But where you are today, here in Cape Town, 2024, are you in your right place?
Yeah, and thanks for that context, because it's like, are you in your right place? When I do think about it, I must be honest, I think I am, like, because when you were younger, you might have wanted to be a fireman, right? And then maybe you become a fireman, and do you think then you're in the right place because of what you were dreaming? So I'm putting myself in that context because I've always wanted to be a business owner, and I got that opportunity, but now I'm not. Does that make me not in the right place? I'm running these questions through my head, and it's actually not, because I got to be a business, like, this idea of entrepreneurship where you can build a business inside a business.
Yes.
I feel like FTC and Renier have given me this, because like, I'm just the university idea. It's mine. But now I have a platform of like 80 other staff members who I can like sort of pitch the idea, and then I have like a bit of a team now who's keen and put their hand up, and now we're offering this product, which is an FTC, but it's a business, it's a unit, because it's going to need to create cores. Who's going to be the lecturers? So it's like, it's a very interesting space I am in. I like, if I'm reflecting as I'm talking, I do think I'm in a fortunate, grateful place that I'm a business person and business ideas, but I've got like a lot of structure around me to do business stuff, right? And add value and be, of service to other people. And like, it's beautiful. I think it's fortunate. It's not easy work, like, but I think it's the hard work that I like to do. That's why it's easy. It's not the hard work I don't like to do that it's hard. So that's why it's like, I'm very happy to wake up every day and go for it.
No, that's excellent, Jason. And I think you've still got a lot to offer. You're still young. If you're young enough to play rugby, you still got many, many years ahead, decades ahead to add value and to find your next right place. I mean, you might be in the right place at the right time right now. But as things develop, other opportunities open up, doors close, doors open, the landscape changes, AI changes everything constantly. So I'm really looking forward to following your journey. Really appreciate you as a person and how you go about your thing and being Jason from FTC, and appreciate the friendship and you and Renier. So Jason, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and hope the listeners also enjoyed our conversation today. We'll definitely share this with the FTC community as well, and hopefully it just goes from strength to strength. Wish you all the best at FTC, and let's hang out again soon.
Amazing, John. Yeah, I also really, really appreciate you. I think it's one of those, when you build relationships with some people, sometimes they say time is the factor for its intensity or its value. Between me and you, it's interesting. Like, I met you maybe a year ago, not even, but I feel the value is very high, even though the
Mm.
time is very short. And I think that also
Yes.
just speaks to you, because it's like you're constantly working on yourself, you're working in different communities, you can immediately be someone of substance, someone of I look up to, someone who I want to be around. So I really do appreciate you and the work you do and the community you're building. And if in any way, and I'm actually going to put my hand up, I am going to somehow be of value to you and your community. So I really appreciate you, and I hope the listeners enjoyed this.
No, thanks, Jason. I appreciate those kind words. And yeah, let's hang out again soon. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time at the right place.
Awesome.